In the realm of literature and religious texts, few books have sparked as much debate and intrigue as the Gospel of Luke. Written in the 1st century, this Gospel is one of the core components of the New Testament. Yet, at the time of its emergence, Luke's account was perceived as controversial by various groups. To understand why, we must delve into the context of the era and the distinct elements within the text. The Gospel of Luke is unique in its approach and audience. Unlike other Gospels, Luke's account is written with a particular focus on Gentiles, or non-Jews, which was unconventional for its time. The early Christian community was primarily composed of Jewish believers, and any message tailored to Gentiles was often met with skepticism. Luke aimed to present Christianity as a universal faith, a message that unsettled those who saw it as inextricably linked to Jewish tradition. Furthermore, Luke emphasizes themes of social justice and inclusivity. He recounts stories in which Jesus interacts with marginalized groups, women, the poor, and sinners, thus challenging the societal norms and hierarchies of the day. For instance, the parable of the Good Samaritan not only highlights a Samaritan as the hero, overturning the biases against Samaritans, but also encourages loving one's neighbor beyond one's immediate community. Such narratives were radical and provoked discussions about the scope and application of religious compassion. Moreover, the Gospel of Luke intricately discusses wealth and poverty, often casting a critical eye on the rich. Luke's Beatitudes underscore blessings on the poor, contrasting Matthew's spiritualized version. This focus mirrored the growing tension between classes and hinted at a divine preference for the underprivileged. Wealthy individuals in the early Christian era might have found these teachings unsettling, as they implied a moral imperative for social equity and redistribution of resources. Luke's attention to detail and historical context also sets it apart. The Gospel is structured with meticulous chronology, linking Jesus' life events to specific historical figures and occurrences, reinforcing the message that Jesus' life and works were based in reality. This approach was innovative, yet it also subjected the text to scrutiny from those less concerned with such details and more with the spiritual aspects. The insistence on grounding Jesus' narrative in history might have seemed unnecessary or distracting to some early readers. Finally, Luke's emphasis on salvation for all humanity challenged prevailing religious exclusivity. By portraying Jesus as the Savior for both Jews and Gentiles, Luke's Gospel pushed against the constraints of religious boundaries, proposing a faith that transcended cultural and ethnic lines. This inclusiveness was contentious in a world where identity and religion were closely tied, engendering debate about the essence and reach of Christian doctrine. In conclusion, the Gospel of Luke was considered controversial in its time due to its outreach to Gentiles, its social themes, its critique of wealth, its historical emphasis, and its inclusive vision of salvation. Its bold narratives and universal appeal pushed the boundaries of contemporary beliefs, inviting both admiration and dispute. Indeed, the very elements that prompted controversy have ensured its enduring relevance and impact on readers throughout the centuries.